because Beausejour is quite small, they earned some money, but that was just few euro.
Yeah.
And
It's sharing between so many different cousins.
Exactly. And so when some of them, they understood that actually they were sit on a fortune, they were, you know what, maybe we should just sell because we are 32. Each of them, they had maybe 2 or 3 kids. So that means we multiply.
Yep.
And at the end, to be 60 in this kind of winery, it's no sense. So, and it's really difficult to manage. And
so you do understand why they were
completely
doing
and
it. Yeah.
And I was and to be honest, for example, if it was another business, I don't know, in the north of France for vegetables or stuff like that, maybe I would say, well, you know what, I don't care about this kind of business.
Yeah.
We should sell it. So for me, it was quite different because I was in the wine business and I was completely aware about the fact that Beausejour for me is quite precious because we had a duel, and for me it was just a shame to sell it.
And you were one of those 32, so you were part of those discussions. And at what point, because they didn't know, many of them didn't know that you'd made a decision yourself that you didn't want to sell. Hi, welcome to the Wine Podcast from Wine Voices. I'm Jane Anson, and today we have an interview with Josephine Duffau-Lagarrosse. She's been named one of the 50 best winemakers of France by Le Figaro newspaper. She's also one of my favourite winemakers. She is the co-owner at Château Beauséjour in Saint-Émilion, which is this tiny, just under 7 hectare, beautifully located Premier Grand Cru Classé. It's right on the limestone plateau in the heart of this right bank appellation. And she took over her family estate as co-director with Prisca Courtin-Clarins in April 2021. It was a pretty contentious 3-way battle to secure ownership. It made all the headlines here. And what was happening was the rest of her family, who had owned Beausejour Duffau-Lagarrosse since 1847, at that point there were 32 members on the board, and they decided to sell. It had gone quite a long way down with 2 other potential buyers until Josephine came in. We're going to talk all about that. She's really open, and I'm really thrilled to have kind of witnessed what she's done since she purchased the property, and I'm thrilled she's going to share it with you. She'd grown up at a location, a chateau called Musset, which is in La Londe de Pomerol, and then she studied wine in Bordeaux and Burgundy. She headed abroad. She went to California, New Zealand, Mexico, and she came back here in 2016, but not to go to the family property. She was working at other estates. And she's going to tell us about why, when she heard Beausejour was being sold, that it was so important to her to keep it in the family. And now she is the sole owner, a co-owner, but sole from her family, together with the Clarins family. It's really a wonderful story and very inspiring. So please enjoy. And I'd just really like to say welcome back if you've been with us for other interviews, and a huge warm welcome to anyone who's joining us for the first time. Please do check out the other podcasts in our archives and share this one with friends if you enjoy it. Okay, so thank you very much, and let's go and meet Josephine. So, hi, Josephine. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Hi, Jane, and thank you to invite me first. Thank you very much. I'm very proud to be with you.
Thank you. We're going to kick straight off. You're owner of one of the most beautiful estates in Bordeaux, one of my favorites, located in such a beautiful part of Saint-Émilion. What are your earliest memories?
Wow. I think it was when it was with my great-grandfather and grandmother, and my grandfather and my grandmother as well. We organized a lot of Christmas. And that was great because, as you know, the property, the house is huge. So we enjoy a lot of Christmas Eve and as well New Year Eve. But when I was a little bit older, for sure. But Christmas, yeah.
So what did you eat on Christmas Eve when you were growing up?
Usually it was more, red meat with potatoes and with, for sure, not glass of wine for me, but I have some memories about the smell of the wine because when I was really young, that was not possible for me to taste, but just smell the wine. And I have a lot of memories when we were in Beausejour with all my cousins because we are 12. and we enjoyed. It was fun.
And you were growing up in Lalonde de Pomerol, so not too far. But your father was working at the property.
Yeah, it was the estate manager of Beausejour. He started in 2005. He was with my grandfather and my grandmother as well. They were together for 2 years, so until 2007, and then my father took over the property by himself with his cousin, and they were both at the helm of Beausejour until about 2020.
So let's set the scene for everybody who is listening or watching. The property is under 7 hectares, I think 6.8. 6.8, just under.
It's quite important in Saint-Émilion, so 6.8.
Every square inch counts, I would say, in Saint-Émilion.
Totally.
So you had what is today's Beausejour Beco and Beausejour Duffau-Lagarrosse were together.
Yep.
You're on the limestone plateau. What's different about your estate?
To be honest, I think in the limestone plateau, we have the common taste, but then the difference is between the different chateaux when you have the viticulture a little bit different, or maybe the winemaking process, but we have this common, I don't know what to say, but this common taste from the limestone.
Which might mean a kick of salinity, maybe
exactly.
lighter colours often than clay or...
Exactly. Then for Beausejour Duffau-Lagarrosse, we are at the top of the limestone plateau, facing southwest, sun exposure.
Maybe 90 meters altitude? 80
meters. And I think it's quite important for us because the average age of the vineyard is around 50 years old. Because, when you have this kind of property with a really small vineyard, it's not so easy to replant. And so we do a lot of complantation.
Which means when one vine dies, putting in another one without taking out the whole row.
No.
Because if people are imagining this, it's not only up high on the plateau, but it's quite steep.
Yeah, exactly. And and so Beausejour is really at the top in direction of Libourne. And all our neighbors are quite famous because we are between Angélus, Beausejour Beco, Canon, and you have on the limestone as well, not too far to Beausejour Ozone as well. So it's a really nice part of Saint-Émilion.
Yeah, pretty nice neighbours.
Yeah.
It's been in your family since 1847. So what generation does that make you?
9, the 9th generation of Duffau-Lagarrosse. So I'm quite proud about that, to be honest.
When you look back into your family history, are there any kind of crazy relatives that you've had? Any interesting stories along the way of people who've owned the property?
I think not really, because even if, to be honest, I was quite close with my grandfather because with my grandmother, they own Beausejour and they were at the helm of the Beausejour when the 90 vintage. So for me, it's quite precious because even if today they are not in this world anymore, I have such a lot of memories with them about tasting wine, about speaking about Beausejour and what is different with Beausejour, and they were really proud of the property. To be honest, with my great-grandfather and my great-grandmother, they passed away when I was 4 years old. So I have some memories, as I said at the beginning, of Christmas, but not really about conversation or, a story or memories about wine. But we were really, this kind of winery with the family was really at the middle of the, not business, but that was really at the middle for us, and that was really important.
So I have a saying that I enjoy, which is life is what's happening when you're making other plans.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of what's happened to you over the last 5 years and how you came to owning the property is exactly that.
Yeah.
Because when you were younger, so you grew up in Bordeaux, just a little bit further away from the estate, but still in the right bank, still very much involved, your family very much involved. And then you studied winemaking in Bordeaux and Burgundy.
Yep.
And then you went abroad for a number of years.
Yeah.
Maybe tell us a bit about that. You went to Napa, I think, to New Zealand, even Mexico.
Yeah.
What took you out there?
Actually, to be honest, with this kind of experience, you just have to be aware that it's possible to make great wine all around the world. So I think that teach you humility, and that teach you that I think it's easy to make great wine if you have the patience, if you have the technique, even if terroir it's quite important, to be honest. Um, and in each part of the world, I learned quite a lot about how to make wine, how to manage the vineyard, because in some part of the world, the irrigation, for example, is allowed, is not in Saint-Émilion or in Bordeaux in general. Um, when I was in Burgundy, I learned quite a lot about extraction, about the choose of the oak, and it was really really interesting for me, um, and especially about the extraction. To be honest,
Meaning going very gently with the
yeah,
extraction.
gently extraction, more soft extraction. And I was working in Von Romanet and Maxime Churlin, who owned the winery where I was working. So Domaine Georges Nuela. We were tasting the wine every day, every morning, and it did a lot of a lot of small details every day, and that was quite different. If I have to compare with when I was in Napa, that was more, okay, today we are doing this, and the day after we are doing this. But that was little bit more, um, because if I say recipe, could be a bad word, but not at all. It's just the winemaking process is bigger. You have something like 100 hectares, so it's quite different when you manage 100 hectares, and it was no more than 6 when I was in Burgundy. So it's really interesting because you learn a lot about how to manage when you are big vineyard, small vineyard, extraction and stuff like that. So I learned quite a lot.
And actually, in terms of what you're doing today, you're back on a small vineyard. So
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
so actually very useful. And that
Yes,
idea
totally.
of being really reactive to what you're tasting and what's happening.
Exactly. And for example, we were speaking about complantation. So if you decide to restructurate a vineyard as Beausejour, you cannot, say, okay, we are going to take off 1 hectare, and we are going the year after another 1 hectare, because after 6 years you don't have any production. So I am in holidays. So no, but to be honest, it's the way of thinking and the way of how you have to manage your vineyard is quite different. And today, even if I was in different parts of the world with different size, the management of Beausejour, as you say, it's really precise, and we don't have to think about just 1 year. I have to have a vision of 25 years later.
So that's maybe something that was helpful in Napa, and maybe to a lesser extent, I'm not sure, New Zealand, but somewhere where there's
in New Zealand, actually, the
summers.
vineyard was no more than 10 hectares.
Okay,
so it was quite small for New Zealand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but looking at places where they're more used to dry summers, certainly when you're in California and in Mexico, what kind of things did you learn from there that are helpful today?
It was, but the thing is, in these countries, the irrigation is allowed, and so it's a little bit different. But the way of they manage the irrigation, that was not just okay, we are going to open the irrigation and that's it. Everything was really under control with, I don't know if you know the pressure chamber. I don't know if we say that
pressure
in
chamber.
Yeah. And so every night we were,
checking the pressure
yes,
on
exactly.
the leaves.
Yeah, just to be sure. Okay, tomorrow we are going to irrigate or not, because the vine is not really with a lot of hydric stress. So, sometimes people, they are thinking, okay, they just open the irrigation and that's it. But no, everything was really under control, and it was really really interesting because I went as well in the south of France, and it was 10 years ago. So it was for the 13 vintage. I was in the south of France.
Making wine there.
As well, yes. Okay. I was in not too far to Gruissan. And that was the first time I understand that as well one day maybe it could be possible to use the irrigation in France.
Yeah.
And we see that.
We see it in Bordeaux already.
As well, yeah. For example, with this year with the 25 vintage, we understood that the irrigation is going to be at the middle of the table because.
I mean, do you think extremely lucky where you're located on the type of soil that you're on. We were just talking before we started recording that you had 40 hectolitre per hectare, which is a very, very good yield for this year, and similar in 2022, even higher. And the reason for that is because you're on limestone.
Yeah.
Do you ever envisage a future where you're going to need to irrigate on limestone in Bordeaux? Or do you think you really are future-proofed?
Good question. Actually, it's difficult to be sure because I have the feelings that since few years, everything is changing quite a lot in terms of global warming. But at this moment, I think before to start to irrigate, I have a lot of decision in terms of soil, choose of rootstock, stuff like that. So I think, in my opinion, and with my terroir, I have sometimes, but I have to be aware that one day maybe I should. I don't know. But at this moment, I feel quite comfortable with my terroir, with the limestone.
You'd been abroad. You came back to Bordeaux in 2016.
Yes.
But again, not straight to your family property.
No.
Again, wanting to get experience elsewhere.
Exactly.
So you spent 3 years with Château Beauséjour, which is in the Médoc, run by a woman. In fact, there's five sisters, I think, who own that property.
The Cruz family.
The Cruz family, which I know you said was really very important in your career.
Exactly, because I was working with Armel Cruz. So Armel Cruz is the estate manager of the property, and actually it was now it's a cru bourgeois exceptionnel, but it was just a cru bourgeois when I was at Château du Taillant. And I mean, it's quite different because first it was 32 hectares with 3 hectares in white.
Had you made whites in New Zealand?
Yeah,
as
in
well?
New Zealand and in Burgundy as well. I really enjoy to make white wine, to be honest. But maybe one day in Saint-Émilion, we will see.
Yeah, more and more people are planting bits
I
of
know.
white.
So maybe one day, just for fun, actually, because I don't know in terms of market if it's really interesting. But anyway, so I'm back to Château du Taillant. And no, it was really interesting for me because when you have to manage this kind of vineyard, the price at the end of the bottle is quite different with the winery I manage today. So each decision has to be a priority. And today it's quite different. That I don't mean that everything is open. I cannot spend a lot of money, but when you are with this kind of cru, that means you need to manage differently.
Yep,
And
because you mean the end price for the consumer is not
exactly
the same. So the margins are
everything,
different.
you have to think about, okay, this year, maybe I can spend some money on this. Next year, I will spend some money on this. When you have Premier Grand Cru classé, you manage differently.
Because you can think, this needs to be done, so I can do it.
And when you have this level of price, actually, you have to do this in the vineyard because at the end, you need to have this level of wine, even if the vintage is quite difficult, even if the market is quite difficult, everything is more, you have to, actually. You have to because you are...
It's a different kind of pressure for each estate.
That's why I really enjoy to work in Château du Taillant because now I think I have the sense of the priority. And I think it's quite nice to start with this kind of chateau. And I learned a lot in terms of technique for sure, and the adaptation of the work in the vineyard on the cellar was quite interesting. Then I went to Bernard Magret Group as well.
So still in the Médoc.
So yeah, it was still Médoc. Even if I wanted to be back in Saint-Émilion.
Ah, yeah, because they have Fontbrouge in Saint-Émilion.
The thing is, no, I went to Médoc, to Château Les Grands Chênes, and then to Château La Paire in Saint-Estèphe. But no, the name is Château Bernard Magret. When you work with Bernard Magret, actually, it's the same. You learn quite a lot. And
you're learning a lot about attention to detail, hard work.
Exactly. But the thing is, I really enjoy to work with both Armel Cruz and Bernard Magret. I learned really a lot from them.
At this point, you were intending to continue doing those things, gathering experience elsewhere, maybe always with the idea that you would come back to the family property.
Yeah, but later.
Later. So tell us what happened then, because famously dramatic, something happened.
But so to be honest, I wanted to work later, maybe around my 40s. So today I'm 35. Just because when you go to the family business, it's not always so easy, and especially when you have this kind of vineyard quite small.
Yep.
And
So less than 7 hectares. And how many family members at the
we
time?
were 32. We were 32 corners.
32 on the board.
Yeah.
But how many working in the property?
Just two.
Because,
just two, my father and his cousin.
Because it couldn't support all 32 members as a full-time job, obviously.
And to be honest as well, it's just on the 32 corners, just my father and I, we were in the wine part, because most of the other corners, they were involving in other business. One was lawyer, another one was working in Paris as, I don't know anyway, but the thing is, except my father and his cousin, all the others, they were working everywhere in France except Bordeaux, and some of them, they are in Canada. And so, I
think we can think this was a time in Saint-Émilion when prices were going up and up and up. There was huge demand to find great terroir and to sell. And so I imagine it was...
Yes. The thing is, at the end of the year... Tempting. Yeah, exactly. And at the end of the year, because Beausejour is quite small, they earned some money, but that was just few euro.
Yeah. And it's sharing between so many different cousins.
Exactly. And so when some of them, they understood that actually they were sit on a fortune, they were, you know what, maybe we should just sell, because we are 32. Each of them, they were they had maybe 2 or 3 kids. So that means we multiply.
Yeah.
And at the end, to be 60 in this kind of winery, it's no sense. So and it's really difficult to manage.
And so you do understand why they were
completely
doing it. Yeah.
And I was, and to be honest, for example, if it was another business, I don't know, in the north of France for vegetables or stuff like that, maybe I would say, well, you know what, I don't care about this kind of business. We should sell it. So for me, it was quite different because I was in the wine business and I was completely aware about the fact that Beausejour for me is quite precious, because we had a jewel, and for me it was just a shame to sell it.
And you were one of those 32, so you were part of those discussions. And at what point, because they didn't know, many of them didn't know that you'd made a decision yourself that you didn't want to sell.
But most of them, they knew. But the thing is, the amount of the property was too high, and at the end, people, they want money, even if it's family, or maybe because it's a family. At the end, they wanted money, so they didn't want to say, okay, we are going to give you the property, and
we can understand that.
So that's why. And for me to find this amount was impossible.
And there were 2 good offers on the table,
right,
that were going through the process. They'd selected. In France, it's quite complicated anyway, the process of selling a property. But they had an offer. And tell us what happened then.
So there were 2 offers on the table. I don't know if it's really useful to say the name.
But 2 very well-known properties.
Exactly.
And adding to the kind of drama of it was that they were 2 well-known properties actually in Saint-Émilion.
Right. And so we were in 2020. And at the end of 2020, one of the 2 offers, we decided to go with this family. And the thing is, between the end of 2020 and beginning of 21, I had the great opportunity, and I think this is, I don't know, the story at this moment. This is the story of my life, really. I had the great opportunity to meet Prisca Courtin. And Prisca Courtin...
and there's one other important bit of her name. Prisca Courtin-Clarins.
Yes, sorry. And so Prisca, she's at the helm of the... she's CEO, actually, of the investment holding of the Courtin family. So the Courtin, they are the founder and the owner of the cosmetic brand Clarins. And so actually, they just sold Azzaro and Mugler to another cosmetic brand, and they were investing in a new startup in cosmetic, and they were investing in buildings. And I met her, I would say, a little bit by random, and she was 33 and I was 30, and when we met each other, actually, they were this really good feeling between Prisca and I, and we were, wow, we are two women, two business girls, even if it's in two different worlds. And the story is just great because she went to Beausejour with her uncle and her father, and they really loved the property. And
they didn't have a wine property before.
Not at all,
but
actually. And they were not expecting to
have
involve
one.
in the wine business, not at all.
But they did have experience of working with perfumes and aromatics and growing lots of organic and products for that.
That's why actually she's always there when we do the blend. But she didn't know nothing about the viticulture or stuff like that, even if they have some domain in the south of France and as well in the Alps. To the plant, make the cream and the cosmetic product.
Yeah, it's very beautiful and extensive grounds where they're growing a lot of the products that they use. I've never visited, but I've read about it. I've done. I'd love to.
No, but it's the place it's quite nice. So they know a little bit about vegetables production, and not really about wine, but they are drinking wine, so it's great. They are consumer, and so just few days later, she called me back and she said, "Okay, with my family, we want to go with you." And so I was really happy. And
there are some rules in France that if you're a young winemaker, that you can have an advantage.
Exactly. So that's why,
of course, because they're trying to keep young people involved in wine.
Exactly, young people, but as well they really want to try to keep the land in France. So that's why it was as well something great for the French, not government, but this French system, because the Courtin-Clarins family, they are French. So that means even if they are my shareholders, it's still in France. So that was a good point for us as well.
So you had to go through the process of convincing the rest of the family that this was, because they had already gone a long way down the process.
Yep.
So what are your memories of that time? And how did it feel when you finally knew that you'd secured?
I was crying. No, really. And it's a true story. It was on Wednesday, I remember. And
so 2021.
Yeah. And try to remember that in 2020 and 2021, it was COVID. So that means all the meeting we had, it was just in visio. Everything was in visio.
Everything was,
and
was
really
at distance.
And to be honest, everything was really difficult because this sale was in visio as well between all the members of my family. So when the decision was taken about, okay, we are going to sell it, it was in visio. So try to imagine 32 people for me, that was really horrible. And most of them, they were crying as well, because even if they are going to have some money,
it still was emotional.
Exactly. Yeah. It was really emotional because that was in our family since 2 centuries. But so if we go back to the day, it was Wednesday, and I remember that Prisca, she texted me on WhatsApp and she said, "Go to your computer, we need to have a meeting, it's really important." And I was, maybe
something's gone wrong.
Yeah, and I was, no, because I was still working with Bernard Magret, and Bernard Magret knew everybody was supporting me, and it was really a big pressure for me, really. And I remember when I switched on my computer and I went to Teams, and we had this meeting at the beginning. She was alone and she was really serious, and I was, oh no, shit, and she was, "Okay, so I have to tell you that I received a call." And I was, okay.
Even I have frisson listening.
Yeah, no, but really, that was, and then all the family of the Courtin family, they switched on the screen. So they were all on the screen, and we did it, and I was, no, but actually I was so...
That tells you a lot about what a sweet family they are to have done it.
Yes, and they were, but to be honest, Prisca and her sister, they were crying too, because we were under pressure for 1 month and a half. And when they told me, we did it, it's for us, I was, but yeah, it's a really good memory, really.
Amazing.
Look.
Yeah, me too. And do you remember what wine you opened that evening?
Actually, I went to a wine bar in Taillan, Médoc. The name of this wine bar is Cavarno, and to be honest, it was a wine from Basque country. So no, it was a from Bordeaux. Exactly.
Excellent, nice.
White Irrigation.
Oh, I love white Irrigation.
Me too. And so we were just drinking about this just great day. Actually, that was for me the beginning of a really nice adventure and a nice story.
Yeah.
And I'm quite happy.
Well, even all this time on, congratulations again.
Thank
That's
you.
wonderful.
Thank you, Jane.
And since then, so it's a small property, but it's one that has not only a great history, but it's a real sense of identity. And you were taking a wine which already was successful. It's a Premier Grand Cru Classé B, but there are only very, very few A's. It's certainly one that could be promoted if that's something you're setting your sights on. I don't know. But you're taking a wine which already has a good identity, and yet you're wanting to bring your own identity to it, or not your own, but your own sensibility to how it was made. So what were the things that needed to be done as you saw it? And you, I think, surprised a lot of people by coming in and actually very quickly showing that you might be young, but you knew exactly what you wanted and you changed things. How did that go? How did that go down, and how did you do it?
I think everything is about detail, and I think because, and I try to say that with a lot of humility, but when I took over the property, I had a small experience. But when you travel, in different parts of the world, when you taste a lot of wine, little by little, you know exactly which kind of wine you really want to drink. And so from Beausejour, I really wanted to make this kind of wine with a lot of purity, with this minerality from the limestone. And, it was not a big changement because all the other vintages, they are quite great. For example, the 1990, I love the 16.2, the 01 is fabulous. But for me, it was more about detail. And it's quite important for me to make this kind of wine which express itself, the terroir. When people, they drink Beausejour, if it's blind tasting or not, I really want to have this freshness in the wine, this purity, this minerality, and, the taste of the place. For me, it's really important. So that means you need to be really precise. You need to avoid to over extract. You need to be precise in terms of the selection of the barrel maker, the origin of the oak. So it's a lot of work because everything is just detail. But at the end, you have, to be honest, I had this morning just before I'm here, I was in Bordeaux and I had a tasting with 21, 22, 23. And to be honest, I don't do that really often. And I was quite happy and not surprised, but kind of proud to taste that 21, 22, and 23, you have this common thread.
Yep.
This freshness, this minerality, and then you have the effect of the vintage for sure. But
yeah, and you think those are very different vintages.
Yeah, but you have this, it's really fresh, and this shortly taste from the limestone. For me, that was the most important, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to increase again and again the precision because today it's five vintages now that I made, but every year I have another new idea to be more precise, to do something more, and at the end I just want to express the terroir.
You changed the consulting team.
Yeah, as well.
Was that partly because you felt because they'd been there so long, they maybe would have resisted you putting your own stamp on the winemaking? Or was it just because you wanted a younger team? You brought in Axel, who is closer to your age?
To be honest, I
closer to your age, but also a fabulous professor and incredibly talented.
Yeah, the thing is, I didn't have any issue with the other team. It's just I started to make wine in 12, and along my experience, I met Julien when I was in Bernard Magret. I met as
Julien
well Julien Viau, sorry, and I met as well Axel Marshall when I was in winemaker school, and then we had some meetings, and he went to Château du Taillant as well as a consultant, and so I really enjoyed to work with Julien and Axel, and so when I took over the property in 21, I was that would be great to work with both, because in my point of view, most of the people, but they are so different, but absolutely not. And they are the new
So
generation
meaning so different because people would say Julien comes from the Michel Roland
and Axel from
laboratory
Denis Dubourdieu.
and Axel from Denis Dubourdieu.
Exactly, but actually not. And I think they just want to make great wine. And if I give them a direction, they are just helping me to go through this direction, So for sure, if you didn't give them any direction, they don't know. But the thing is, I gave them, okay, I want to put Beausejour at this way, at this level of quality, and I really want to keep the purity of the wine. And so that's why I receive a lot of advice from Axel in terms of, a barrel maker or stuff like that, because he does a lot of
research
exactly.
into different kinds of
Julien
oats.
is sometimes a little bit more technical, so both they are really complementary, and I really really like to work with both. And as I really want to say is, they are working together in the same time. I don't work on Monday with Axel and Wednesday with Julien. When they come to Beausejour, they come together. So that means we are all together around the table. And for me, sometimes it's quite impressive to work with these two consultants, because they have great experience and they taste really well.
It must be fascinating, actually.
Really, really.
And I guess when you're in a 6.8 hectare estate, you've got to all work together. It's got to be a team that works, because it's too small to hide anything.
And it's great as well to work with them, because sometimes I just say, no, I disagree. And they are not upset. They say, okay, so what do you want? And I want this. Okay, we are going to helping you to go to this way. But so it's I think this is the new generation of consultant, and they completely understand that sometimes we are not making wine from the consultant. We are making wine from the place. And to be honest, I don't want to make wine. I'm not happy if someone say, oh, it's the wine from the era of Josephine. I really, really, really don't want to have this kind of. I really prefer to have, oh, it's wine from limestone plateau, and for me, it's most important. Most important.
And I like also that you have in your head memories of some of the, such as the 1990, those vintages, which for you really spoke to the soul of the estate. And so you're looking also to those.
Exactly. And especially because the 1990, this is my year of birth. So it's quite important for me. And as well because when you taste this kind of wine, and when you know that they didn't have any knowledge about wine, they didn't have any analysis of the soil, you are, wow, oh, it's possible to make this kind of wine. And it's, this is the kind of goal I really want to have, because in 1990, they didn't have any second wine. So everything was in the first wine, and that was the same vineyard. So you are, wow.
It shows you can trust the terroir.
Exactly, completely. So it's really exciting, to be honest.
And how does that work? So that's the winemaking and the consulting team. How does it work with Prisca, we say Prisca. Because she has obviously a great marketing background, and in terms of the distribution, does she get involved in that side, or do you really help with that side too?
To be honest, Prisca, she tried to come at least once per month, but she runs a lot of business, so sometimes it's quite difficult. For example, this year, she wanted to come for the harvest, and she said, okay, I will be there the 30th of September. And at the beginning of September, I told her, Prisca, if you come to the end of September, the harvest is going to be done. And she was, oh, no. I said, yeah, sorry. Can you wait? No. No, but I think she has all the business savvy in terms of, long-term vision. And she knows how to run a business, and she knows how to make a strategy. But she's completely aware that the production part is another work. So for sure, she really wants to be at Beausejour when we do the blend session, because we do a lot.
Again, as you say, she has a
taste.
Fantastic.
And it's quite interesting because when she smells the wine, she has a lot of aroma that I don't have, because
that's
from the cosmetic
experience.
So it's quite interesting. But she has, all the strategic part, and I run really the production part. And when we are speaking about strategy and long-term vision, we work together, but then that's it.
Because right now, this is a time where the wine industry is changing in many ways, as we mentioned earlier. So are there things that she is bringing in from a different industry which you think could be helpful for other producers who are trying to navigate what is a difficult time?
the thing is, the cosmetic, you are not. I don't know how to explain that, but when you know you are going to produce this amount of product, you are going to produce. You
Yep.
are going to produce this amount of
Right. It's
product
very
and then sell it.
precise.
For Beausejour, for example, for the 24, we had a lot of idea, but the thing is, because of the nature, we had the half production, so it's quite different, really different. And I think she really wants to run Beausejour part to the cosmetic strategy, because for her, she said that it's different. So we try to. It's quite impermeable. I don't know how to say that in English, but we don't share.
Oh, I see what you mean. Right. It means there's not, the same strategy isn't applied to both sides of the business. Yeah.
So at this moment, it's the cosmetic part in one part, the cosmetic product in one part, and the wine production in other part. Maybe one day we will try to, to work with both. But at this moment, I think she really wants to work as the Bordeaux system, and she really wants to try.
Because you're still using négociants.
Yeah, we change.
But changing a little bit. How? Yeah. What's your strategy there?
So at the beginning of this year, we decided to leave the Bordeaux place, and we are working exclusively with one negotiant.
One. I thought it was one per area.
It's one negotiant for the export, and now for the French market, I am indirect.
Yeah.
So since now 6 months, it's quite interesting.
Yeah, I bet. What are the learnings that you have from that?
For me, first, it's the transparency, because I am in copy of each email of the negotiant that I'm working with. So I know exactly which importer, and I'm really close with each importer. So I try to know more and more the final consumer. And for the French market, it's different now because we are indirect.
What percentage is France?
80-20. Since the beginning of this year, we try to increase, but we are not at 20% today, because when you go to the French market by yourself, it's really.
Yeah.
Because restaurant, they are just it's just three bottles, maybe two, sometimes one.
Yeah.
So it's really difficult. But it's really interesting and really exciting. So
and the hope of that is that creates the loyalty direct with them.
Exactly. But so just to go back to your question, for me it's quite interesting to work with this kind of people as Prisca, because they don't have any objection, or they are not from Bordeaux, so they are completely open-minded. And so if we work together and we say, okay, we should leave the place, okay, let's go.
Yeah,
and
that's
I think
a really good point.
If you work with someone from Bordeaux,
they're like, but what do you mean you want to leave the place?
Yeah, exactly. And because and it's not a critique, not at all, but you have a lot of tradition, and sometimes tradition it's good, but sometimes
it can be
exactly
can hold you back sometimes.
That's why for me it's just great to work with someone.
And that again, it's easier to make that choice when you're a small estate.
Oh, totally. To be honest, if I was a little bit bigger, maybe the double production could be so difficult to say, okay, I leave, because you have to sell your wine.
Yep. Okay. Perfect. I've just got a couple of questions to ask you. You live downtown in Saint-Émilion as well. You live at the estate?
No, at the beginning I wanted to live in the estate, and Prisca told me, if you want to live in the house, that would be great. But I stay at the beginning just a few months, and after a few months I was, no.
Because you can't switch off.
Yeah, never.
You don't want to wake up at 3 a.m. and say, I've got to go and check on the wine.
But you have a lot of wine dinner, lunch, so it's in your own house. So and then because, during the weekend, you go to the vineyard, you go to your office, you are checking some emails, stuff like that. So you never stop. So I decided to say, okay, no, I should leave. So now I live in Libourne, because I didn't want to go back to Bordeaux. And because I really like this city, Libourne. It's great. And it's just 30-minute drive from Bordeaux. So
okay, so then in Libourne or in Saint-Émilion, a couple of recommendations for wine bars you like or restaurants you like?
In Saint-Émilion, most of them, they are quite great. But I used to go to l'Envers du Décor. I went several times to Le Logis de la Cadenne. And these two places, I really love them. Then in Bordeaux, you have a lot of place. Actually, you have as a wine bar, you have Le Sobre, you have l'Univers as well. As I said at the beginning, this place in Le Taillant Médoc, I really love this place. It's Cave Arnaud. Arnaud means wine in Basque. Yeah, Arnois.
Nice.
Yeah, and yeah, so it's a lot of place. That means I drink a lot, I think. Yeah, but in Saint-Émilion, yes, Envers du Décor and Logis de la Cadenne. I love these two places. And Le Sous la Robe too.
Le Sous la
Le
Robe.
Sous la Robe wine bar. You have a really nice
Is that
wine
the
list.
one that has cellars as well?
No, it's really at the bottom of Saint-Émilion, and the wine bar, it's quite great, really, as well. The Sous la Robe.
Okay, thank you. We
Yeah,
like to get
you're
good
welcome.
recommendations for
Yes.
people listening. Vintages that you would suggest people open now of Beausejour?
Well, I drank last week 14. 14 is quite nice to taste now because it's a mature vintage. 12, 11 for sure. And I was quite surprised about the 15. The 15 as well is nice to drink now, more than the 16, because the 16 is still young and a little bit close. But yeah, I would say 11, 12, 14. I would love to say 13, but most of the people,
they won't give it they won't try
yeah,
it.
but the thing is 13, it's a really, really nice, it's not the vintage of the century, as we say in Bordeaux, but for sure, the 13 in terms of price and quality, I speak for Beausejour, but it's quite good vintage, really. And 14, yes.
Perfect. And plans for the future? Where do you see over the next 10 years
Wow.
the estate going? You've just redone the cellars, beautiful new cellars. Do you have any other plans for the estate?
I have a lot of work to do in the vineyard because I need to, as I say, to restructurate, but slowly.
Little
by little. But you know, my restoration plant for the vineyard is for the next 30 years, and so for the next 10 years, yeah, we are going to replant a little bit more Cabernet Franc, but I would like to reach around 30-35% in the vineyard. We are going to do some works on the house as well, and yes, then I will see. I will see. I would love to make some white, but the thing is, I think it's more my personal choice. But yes, I think I have plenty of stuff to do. Yeah,
That's lovely.
for sure.
And I guess last question, it's almost 5 years on. Almost. It's gone quickly, 5
Yes.
years. When you look back, what's the moment that you feel the most proud of or just happy? What's the happiest memory since you came back to Beausejour?
You know what? I don't say that because it's you, but when you put 100 score, really, yeah, from the 22, I was, wow, that means I took the right direction. I took the good direction. Because, I don't say that.
Can I give some context to that?
Yeah, sure.
For 2022, it was a very hot, dry vintage, and many critics gave a lot of 100 points, but I didn't, because for me, I felt some people lost typicity, although they were great wines. I also like a wine to taste of the place, and that didn't always happen in 22. And that was one of the reasons why I loved what you did, because I felt it was a fantastic wine, but it also kept the signature of where it was from.
But thank you, because as a winemaker, and I'm pretty sure most of my generation, they are like me, we have a lot of doubt about the future because we don't know in terms of global warming, in terms of choice we do, in terms of extraction and in the viticulture. But when you have a wine critic as you and you give us 100 score, we are okay. So we took the right direction, and it's great, actually. So thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. I did not intend to finish with that, but I'm very thrilled. Thank you. That's so kind. Jane. Thank you for joining us. It's so interesting hearing you, and I wish you. I know you're going to do great, and I'm really rooting for everything you do.
I'm here for a long time. Trust
me.
You are.
This is where you're finishing your career, handing it on, I hope, to your children.
Yep. I hope.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jane.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. That was a fascinating podcast. So interesting to listen to Josephine talking about her first 5 years at Château Beauséjour. If this is your first time listening to the Wine Podcast, please do check out the rest of our series. We have some brilliant topics part of the Wine Voices series, and it's produced in partnership with Wine Searcher, the world's largest wine and spirits database. You can get 10% off for 12 months Wine Searcher Pro subscription with the code JaneWS at checkout. It really is very, very useful. All you need to do is follow the link in the description below to get started. And please join us next time.